Welcome back. Hour 3, first Monday of the month, December, the last month of the year. Well, 2008 is about gone. We're heading into rougher and rougher waters, as we're going to hear right now with Clif High, who is back. Clif and George Ewer, his partner and associate, accomplice, colleague, and all the rest of those good things, have put together some of the most extraordinary information I have ever come across. The website, of course, is halfpasthuman.com. Let me tell all of you briefly what George and Clif do at halfpasthuman.com. And what they do is forecast the future. And if I might read just a little bit here from the website, we are not alone in forecasting the future. All humans do it to some degree. Just a quick search of the Internet will provide dozens of forms of future forecasting. Some use astrology, some use other methods. We employ a technique based on radical linguistics to reduce extracts from readings of dynamics and postings on the Internet into an archetypical database. With this database of archetypical language, we calculate the rate of change of the language. We calculate the rate of change in the language that they examine. The forecasts of the future are derived from these calculations. Our calculations are based on a system of associations between words and numeric values for emotional responses from those words. These emotional impact indicators are also of our own devising. They are attached to a database of over 300,000 words. This database of linked words and phrases and emotions is our lexicon from which the future forecasting is derived. We call our future viewing the ALTA reports for asymmetric language trend analysis. All right, welcome back, amigo.
How you doing, sir?
I'm okay. How was your holiday?
Oh, it was great. I'm a little beat up at the moment, but nothing some aspirin won't help.
Well, it's probably from your taekwondo?
Aikido, yeah.
I was close. I had the right sound to it anyway.
Yeah, and the right continent. There you go.
I try. How many empty pie pans are there laying? Never mind. We won't go.
That's it, yes.
We won't go.
We should avoid that. I have a number of them.
Good. I hope they're all splendid.
They worked out pretty good this year, yeah. And it looks like from the data set that this is, however much your holidays are this year, they'll probably be compared very ill-favorably to what's coming next year, in the sense that this year appears to, if it's the pinnacle, it's the pinnacle, or if it's the pits, it's the pits, but next year's going to be worse in a serious way.
So this year may be looked back upon with some pleasant nostalgia. Yes,
right. Even if it wasn't all that great in the coming future, it will change over time in the sense of how we'll feel about it.
Well, melancholy seems to be in our future, all of our futures, for reasons that George and Clif have tried to put forth in their ALTA reports. The newest edition of which is just out, part 4 of Series 909. Right. I just read that yesterday. I keep getting these very strange password names from you. I don't know what they mean. They look like a random number letter sequence, but I know it couldn't be that.
No, it's not. Actually, it's used for linguistic watermarking, because we have problems with our own stuff showing up on the Internet.
Funniest
getting
thing.
Eaten by our own spiders. We need to be able to sort of like track it. So it's kind of like a linguistic barcode that allows us to say, oh, yeah, so-and-so was cutting and pasting, send them and don't do this. And,
well, you're talking to someone who's been cut and pasted more times than he could count.
Sure. You certainly understand the issue there. Yeah.
I do. It's very unnerving. I would urge all of you who are interested in George and Clif's work, and I hope that's all of you, to really consider, in these tough times, I know they're difficult, but subscribing. And if anyone tries to pass something from their work along to you, I would ask you as a moral issue to reject it and tell the people that is not something that honorable individuals participate in doing. We don't do that. These men work very, very hard at what they do, and they make their work available to all who'd like to subscribe, and Clif and George certainly have shared a lot of it on this program, and Clif has been kind enough to show up each month to do that. to a substantially intriguing degree, and we're going to do that in this hour. The Mumbai attacks, did they show up as any kind of a bump on the terrain?
We have them in a sense of in the military. Remember, we were discussing that as of I think it was in 709, the previous series. So that would have been back early August, maybe late July. In one of those, I'd mentioned some information about how after midnight on the 26th of November, we were basically, that was when things were going to get very tense, because along with the economic problems, along would come the military.
I remember that. I do remember that, yeah.
And we have that on George Gur's urbansurvival.com site. He referenced that a couple of days ago, and I'm sure it's still available. We're not out of the woods on that yet. We weren't specific about India per se. The part of our problem is, of course, we have huge amounts of data, and we have a tendency to think of individuals in omni-humanity as being sliced and diced by geographic boundaries, so therefore Indians versus Pakistanis. And our data doesn't really quite work that way. It works as a global population from which we can actually subset very large groups, like the Russian populace or the USA or French or British or even Indian for that matter. And down to Pakistan we start getting in a little bit of difficulty, although we were fairly good about when Musharraf was going to leave. We were off by a day.
Well, only a day, yes.
Yeah, 6 months out though, so that was pretty good.
That was very good.
But in any event, the current situation is not over, and that's something that needs to be stressed, is that we're still within from the midnight on the November 26th through to about, let's say, December 14th.
It runs a ways into the month, I remember. Yeah.
Correct. We're into a period of time where military will flare up to rival economic woes in all of our daily consciousness.
Isn't it interesting, if I might just jump in here, the issue of the largest theft in human history continues to unfold and be force-fed to the hundreds of millions who read the controlled media.
And yet our energies are all directed elsewhere.
And yet our energies are directed at, and bless them all who died, 150 to 200 people. Yeah. But my God, as I've said many times, 45,000 a year die on America's highways, and nothing is said about that. And yet 150 or 200 people die halfway around the world, and the media becomes
can't shut up about it.
Cannot contain itself, control itself. Of course, it's not supposed to. That's the issue. It's to keep the herd looking this way and looking that. In all things rational, 150 people dying is 757 going down. In fact, a lot less. Yeah. So what we have here is an issue that is extremely dynamic, and as you say, it is truly global. We're no longer contained in terms of geographic locations, and your work does speak to the larger venue of which we inhabit here. It always seems to.
And we are, unfortunately, still being wagged by the tail, even though we're global dog.
We're being thrown around into the wall. Boom, bam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, as I say, now we have to be prepared for this, because the United States, our term steps up somewhere between the 5th through the 14th. We'll be in the latter third of what we had thought of as 17 nasty days here. The intensity for us should peak around the 12th. May involve accidents, but it also might involve something just as nefarious. I'm not saying that we have any data suggesting that, other than we have the same kind of data, same kind of numbers for an increase in military tension, if you will, within the U.S. That we saw after midnight on the 26th, which turned out to be the attacks in Mumbai.
Right. Well, to help protect all of you folks out there, in case you missed it, the Pentagon is ready to deploy within the next year 20,000 combat troops right here in River City to make sure we're all safe from terrorists. 20,000 military to be deployed. Posse, what was that term again?
We don't have that anymore.
It
was Latin to begin with, which is a dead language, and now the concept is dead.
Yeah.
However, let me also point out